My name is Melissa Pereau, and for the past 7 years, I've been the Psychiatry Clerkship Director and also the Associate Program Director for our residency. I have worked alongside students who have become part of our residency, and then they have stayed on to become part of our faculty. Teaching and mentoring is one of the things I'm most passionate about. When it comes to teaching, 2020 has thrown us a curveball. We've had to completely revamp a lot of what we do because much of our materials had grown stale or boring, and especially on Zoom, they didn't connect. And so our faculty have had to create new materials which had converted boring lectures into more dynamic styles of learning. It's been fun, and it's also been really hard. I think most of us during the pandemic have had to learn to wait. And I think, for me at least, waiting sometimes can change into acceptance, and with acceptance, there's lots of room for growth. I've spent 2 years looking for a painting to fill this giant wall in my office, and have been unable to find something that really speaks to me. Then during the pandemic, I noticed a lot of people online picking up new skills. A bunch of people started making sourdough in their house, and I thought that was really cool. And so I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos on how to paint abstract art. When I was growing up, I used to watch my grandmother paint, and I loved watching the palette knife glide through her hands, and I thought I could learn to do that. So I got a bunch of cheap art supplies, and I got a big canvas and took my 4-year-old and said, we're gonna try something fun. And over the past 3 months, we have been creating something new. And if you look really, really closely, you can see his little handprint there inside the waves. At the bottom of the painting is his cute little signature that he added. This is something that I'm proud that we've made, and it tells the story, my story, of learning how to wait and how to surrender. When I was a little kid, my parents were missionaries in Mexico. My brother and I grew up pretty much spending most of our time playing by the beach. I remember being afraid of the ocean because the waves were so huge. And my father would tell me, you don't need to be scared of the ocean because there's a trick. He said, what you do is that you find that calm water right at the base of the wave before it breaks. And you go right up to the wave, and right before it begins to break, you duck underneath the calm water and you wait for the wave to roll past. I smiled, nodded, and thought he was insane. And so instead of doing that, I jumped over the waves. I got pulled under and dragged back to shore. It was pretty awful, and I remember at the end of the day feeling exhausted, having sand in my teeth and in my hair, and I went home and I felt defeated. Finally, I decided to stop fighting the waves. I went into the water and swam till it was waist deep. I looked up ahead, and there was a wave that was coming. It grew taller and taller, and I began to feel afraid. And right when it began to break, I ducked underneath the water and waited to be pulled under. I found an incredibly peaceful place. Beneath the waves was dark, but I could still see colors, blue and brown and green and little flecks of gold where the sun touched grains of sand that were floating in the water. It was a place unlike anywhere I'd ever been before, and it was quiet and it was peaceful, and yet I could hear the wave rumbling overhead, the turbulence moving the water, and yet it did not touch me. I pulled up my legs and I began to float underneath the water, and I remember feeling so safe. Even today, when I meditate, that is the place that I always go. It is my own. Going under the waves for me is not about avoidance. It's about intentionally pausing to find serenity, even when waves of stressors are coming my way. There are times when we need to wait, and other times when we need to harness the courage to change things. At our residency program, we don't just teach our residents to become amazing psychiatrists. We also work alongside them to ensure that they grow to be whole and healthy human beings. Our program director, Dr. Lee, is a kind, compassionate, patient man. He is fiercely protective of our residency education, and I love working with him. And me? I'm the one who tells really long childhood stories, apparently. I'm also the one that works hard to take the word no off the table so that our residents feel supported in building and creating all of the projects that they're passionate about. Together with our fearless chief residents, we make a pretty good team. I'm proud to work at Loma, and I'm proud to call this my home.